All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got Chris Drew back with me from Menace to Sports, and we're gonna talk a little college stuff. So, Chris, how's it been going, man?
Good man. Excited for the season to get here. Kind of moving there slowly but surely, but day by day, step by step. When college football returns, I think I'm at my very happiest.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys call it, week zero is
Yeah,
it's eventful but not eventful, and I think probably next week, and then weeks 4 and 5, it's just you're kind of in a blender a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. Week 4 and 5, it's really go mode. It's really just like sitting down. It's like all about college football. But week zeros, it's cool. I mean, I'll make sure I turn on USC, and then Notre Dame as well. But week zero is a little tough. But yeah, you're right. I mean, come week 4 or 5, it's like just like nonstop action, action, action. Those Saturdays kind of become uh, days where you're just in the tank, just watching whatever you can. So, but I love it. I definitely love it, and I definitely can't get enough of it.
Yeah, the I mean, on the college side of things, I think this off season coming up is going to be huge. For the ACC, I want to see what they end up doing as far as they have uncertain TV rights deals, and Florida State possibly, and Clemson, if they hit the eject button, that's two major conferences hitting the grave right off the rip.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm definitely ACC's in a weird spot because I mean, currently, at least I thought they hold all the cards. I mean, I don't know how much of a bluff this grant of rights deal is that Florida State thinks they can get out of. But the ACC's in a weird spot because like they probably should and will change some things, especially revenue wise. But they also don't seem to have to if they don't want to, just because they've got everybody locked in, and that buyout is like what $100 million for a school to get out of the grant of rights. So I'm kind of curious what the ACC does. They should see if they can get one of these like mammoth streaming services to throw them a bag for kind of some TV rights for them. I know Amazon Prime wants to get more involved. I know that Verizon wants to get more involved. I know a lot of these streaming services do want to get more involved with sports. And really, the conference that has the weakest TV deal is probably the ACC and their deal with the CW right now. So I don't know. I am curious what the ACC does, and then I'm also curious. I mean, for the ACC in total, they might have uh, one, maybe two college football playoff contenders as well, which is a really good year for them.
Yeah, and I think Stanford Cal got. I'm not gonna say they got the short end of the stick, but they were they were bad at a wrong time, and Cal's been down bad, and so is Stanford. And the the issue that I have, I guess, that some people don't look at is the Cal and Stanford side of things. Stanford had like 289 Olympic athletes, and Cal
Mhm.
had 212 in the last three cycles. So it's really bad for those athletes on the college side of things, and then they're
Because those
not.
are Olympic sports are the non-revenue sports.
Yeah, and like everybody knows, football drives the bus. And you guys talked about it today. I just Zach talked about it in the coaches report. I think it's a lot of people don't think it'll be interesting down at A&M. I think it's going to be week by week, and I think things are going to either they're going to get really weird, or it's just something with Texas A&M to me just doesn't smell right. From Jimbo's big contract, and then Bobby Petrino pulls up, it I mean, something to me just, and you plus you got Steve Adazio down there. I just think that is a lot of opinions, and those meeting rooms are going to be wild.
Yeah, A&M's interesting. Zach's really bought in on A&M. It is a lot of loud opinions. I do think Connor Weigman's a really good player, and I'm excited for him as at least quarterback wise. I mean, that's a kid that I thought should have been playing way sooner last year, given how bad the quarterback play was. I hope and I pray that Jimbo Fisher does not mess him up. does not mess with his mechanics at all and lets that kid go out and ball. But again, and it's not just about three opinions there. It's about three loud opinions are all in that same room together offensively. And so you got to see who's going to win out. But Jimbo, another weird case of like how safe is his job, because really it should be a pressure cooker down there at A&M, but he also has that mega buyout that you referenced. But it also feels like he's willing to change to try to win. Obviously, pulling Bobby down there, you think, okay, like if he's going to give up some of his offensive stuff, cool, but will he actually give it up, or is he going to kind of hold it close to the vest and then axe people out depending on kind of how those first couple weeks go? And then, of course, you're going to run into some a rocky road down there in the SEC for sure, especially them.
I guess with them bringing Bobby on board, I think it's going to get wild if they start winning, because if you think years back, everybody thought Ron Zook was going to get a huge extension at Illinois, and he started out 6-0 and ended up 6-6. So, and he ended up getting fired. So, I guess A&M's going to be we'll see. I don't think they need the scat packs driving through the parking garage at 70 miles an hour. And
well, he's gone.
Oh, he is?
He's at LSU.
Oh. Oh, the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how far have you got on? Because a lot of people that I work with were talking about Swamp Kings. How far have you got? Have you finished it yet?
Nah, man, I didn't even get to start it today. I've been feeling the best, so I've been kind of just winding down and moving slow. I had a couple of radio interviews earlier today, and then I was just working on editing things for the Menace Sports YouTube channel. So I just been kind of tied up. I'm hoping that that tonight I'll be able to sneak in an episode or two, and then maybe tomorrow morning when I wake up after I go on my run, I might try to sneak in another episode before I hit the studio. But been working a little much, so I'm bummed because I do want to watch and catch up, because I do know Zach wants to do a full in-depth analysis of it. So I do have to get on it, just because he was there during that time, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you haven't watched it yet, so I'm not gonna play spoiler, but I just, after watching it, the only thing that I can come to a conclusion of is I don't think Urban sits next season out. I think he's going to be somewhere.
Do you think it was that kind of piece, like something that was done to kind of help his image a little bit and like get people excited about him as the coach?
Because, like, if you're not a real football guy, like Zach was obviously there. Like, I mean, you pay attention to social media, you know what goes on. I mean, I watch it as close as I can. It just doesn't pass the smell test. And I think it, like Zach says, he's not going to let Jacksonville be the last mark on his record. So I think he'll coach again.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that competitive itch. It's just what university can take a shot on him, and where would he go, and could he handle the new college football?
I just and when Zach tells stories about Urban, about his temperament and things like that, after watching that, it makes sense now. It'll put a lot of things in perspective. You'll be like, that story really makes sense now. But, and I guess one of the other things I wanted to throw in there is, like, Zach coached college football at the highest level for, a guy that's got a couple of rings in his bag. I think that when you reach that certain level of coaching, it grinds you down so hard to where, like, I feel like some of them guys that do like a Les Miles that's got, a natty, I feel like, he just kind of faded off. Like Jimbo is fading off, because I feel like Kirby's in the midst of it right now. It is a total face grind. Everything is, to keep that 100% intensity every day is just, it's got to be a total grind on you.
No, I
And
agree. And Urban's kind of talked about that, kind of like the grind about getting up to the mountain, and then the grind about staying up there is almost it feels crazy.
because I feel like Nick Saban is like the only one that's been able to handle it well. And just, the constant beating, the recruiting. I mean, for 6 months out of the year, you are locked in, you
Hmm.
know, 14, 15 hours a day, and you are constantly babysitting kids. Um, I just,
Babysitting kids, trying to land kids, making sure kids NIL is right. Making sure that you're not guys aren't going to the transfer portal. Making sure your coaches are intact. Making sure that if you do lose a coach, you have the right replacement there. I mean, dealing with boosters. I mean, it's really like a college football head coach is a head coach, a GM, director of player personnel, and a life coach for just about everybody, including other staffers. So it's been I mean, really, that makes it even more incredible to think about what Nick Saban's been able to do.
what goes into, you take all those guys that have won multiples, Urban, Kirby, and Nick. I mean, I
Mm,
think that's a testament of the face grind. And I think, I don't know when Saban will hang it up, but I feel like it will be sooner rather than later. And I feel like when he retires, he's done.
mm,
Because I feel like for what you put into it and what it takes out of you is not, I don't know if quite the juice is worth the squeeze. Like, take Zach's situation, for instance. He could go back if he wanted to. If he really, like, really, really wanted to, he could go back and coach football at a high level. And I think that it's a testament to him, somebody that's seen it at the highest level, won, been on staffs with multiple national championships. And he looks at it and says, "Nah, I'm good."
yeah.
And I just, I don't think people look at that aspect
Mm-mm.
of it. And constantly you're somebody like Coach O ground his face off and won one natty with, arguably the best college quarterback ever.
Yeah, he accidentally won a natty. He stumbled into it.
Eddie O is, I mean, that is interesting stuff. But I almost would have liked to seen what Pete Carroll could have done staying in the college game, because a lot of the things he was doing that were like not legal at SC are legal now.
Yeah, and out west, I mean, they like yeah, yeah.
I mean, he might be cutting into a lot of those 5 stars.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I mean, definitely building a fence out west. Like you're not going out west to get a dude anymore if Pete Carroll's out there.
Yeah. Did you see that video of him slinging the rock at
I
practice?
did. Coach Pete looks good.
I mean, that guy's, like in his 70s out there getting it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, and he's another guy that was on the list. He was in the midst of, he won back to back and ground it to a nub, and the NCAA, because that's a well ran organization and logical thinking people there, ran him out of college football.
Got him up out of there, man. He was a guy. He was on the cusp. And they had guys in New York every year, back to back. They were fun to watch, good for visibility. Yeah, I love those Pete Carroll teams. But I mean, he's one of the few guys that's proven he can do it at both levels.
Him and
And
him and Jimmy Johnson.
yeah, him and Jimmy, they can do it at both levels. Big time stuff. I love Pete.
Yeah, I think I'd like to meet Pete, because he just seems like, and I don't know. I heard this on. I watched the Trojan War, that they said at one point in time he got pissed at both his coordinators, so he called offense and defense.
That's fire. That's
Like,
really cool.
because there's a point in time that Zach told a story about the Clemson game when Ohio State got shut out, and like Ed Warner, it wasn't clicking. And Zach says Urban Meyer couldn't call plays, and I think
Mhm.
that is just craziness. I think that's craziness that there's some coaches out there that can't call plays. They're like, understand it.
Yeah.
And
Eddie O falls in that category too. He couldn't call plays.
yeah, Eddie O.
Joe Burrow taught him about offense when he got there.
Isn't that just wild? And some people think that, LSU developed Joe Burrow. He started out at Ohio State, and it's just wild on how that goes. And
Yeah, well, Joe Burrow needed both stops. I think, by my estimation, he needed both.
Because I think he got everything he needed at Ohio State. And look at the run of guys that came through there, and look at their numbers. I mean, not to take anything away from Joe, but I mean, you can't really argue what he did.
What Dwayne did. Can't argue what Justin did. You can't argue what CJ did.
And Ohio State for the last 15 years, I mean, have had some dudes at Q, starting JT, Braxton. I mean, Braxton's a dude. I think if he would have been 10 years younger and was coming into the game now, I think he'd run circles around Lamar.
I wouldn't jump that far. I do think he's a freak show, though.
I mean, I just feel like if you would have put Ryan Day and Braxton together.
Oh yeah, they would have put crazy numbers up.
Video game numbers.
It would have been disgusting. It would have been really disgusting.
And I get some things all the time. I bounce around on the Twitter sphere, and I think it's really strange that you guys talked about it today, that you guys cover a topic and poof, it's on another show just out of thin air.
Which topic? It happens every time I do something.
And it's not even because I don't listen to the Columbus media like close like you guys do, whether you're driving around the city or taking a walk. You put out 97.1 or something like that. I just you'll see an article wrote by somebody, but I can't watch Ryan Day's press conferences no more.
Ryan's mastered that. Ryan is a master of the press conferences.
It's the problem is that they just ask him stupid questions.
Yeah.
I'll name drop. So last Friday, I think it was, Austin Ward asked him, why are the twos getting work on the ones in practice for whatever period they were watching? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what do you mean? Why? And then he backs it up with saying, well, the ones get ones on one and twos go 2 on 2s, and then we do some 2 on 1s. Like it's a general rotation to keep everybody active. Like, do you not understand? Mm-hmm. Have you never ever been to a football practice? Like you have special, you have your specialist work, you have dynamic warming up, then you break off into position groups, and then, you have team period, and then you go full on scrimmage mode for whatever you're doing that day. And then you have scout team work, and, it's all broken down. It's like, maybe if you would just, fixate your eyes on that piece of paper they have in their hand and, take a look at it for what the practice plan is, you might have a better understanding. But what do I know? I mean, I just have a crappy podcast, and, I shouldn't have an opinion.
That's my favorite insult that we get.
You're just a podcaster. Well, I mean,
yes, I am.
And the crazy thing is that, people don't come on, on this platform, but they watch it after I post it on YouTube. And there's been people that have on other shows have stolen my stuff. And it happens to JB. It happens to you guys. And it's just, it really irritates me, because I was talking about Van Gundy was going to get fired in April during the conference championship games. And I had posted that on YouTube, and I put it up there. It had like 10 or 15 views, and I took it down a week later, and then Van Gundy gets fired, and somebody had this same exact take as I did. And it's just like, I know where you
Always
got.
watching.
It's like I know where you got that.
Yeah, always watching.
And it because because on here, like, you can have an anonymous watcher. It's somebody that doesn't have an account, but if you pop in, your name pops up. So it's just, that's why I like to go live on here. And then, I mean, they got incognito mode and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's wild and it's not even that like you or I or anybody that is turning like a laser focus towards the beat at any city. A lot of times it's just that they just write bad things and they're pushing things that aren't real.
Aren't true. Yeah,
Yes.
that was my only thing. I was, the whole Devin Brown and Common Core thing. I was just so frustrated that things were being pushed that weren't true, and it was frustrating people around the team. And so when Zach and I got together, and Zach opted to say, F it, we're gonna roll with Devin Brown. Like I've heard enough from my sources, and I feel really comfortable and confident saying that he'll be the starting quarterback at Ohio State because that's what I've been told. And I'm ready to kind of start that so that it's less of a shocker, and so that people can understand that the beat maybe doesn't know as much as they make it seem like.
And I feel like somebody that is going to be that's going to talk to somebody, they're going to talk to Zach before they would talk to anybody on the beat.
Yeah, that's their friend, no matter how you slice it.
Or they would talk to somebody that's not on the beat.
Mm-hmm. Facts. Well, not me. I don't do the whole investigative journalism thing anymore. I'm out the game, but
I feel like you lose when it comes to that. I feel like there's conversations that you have that are on the record and off the record, and I feel like that line has been blurred really bad in sports. And I feel like narratives have been controlled. Yeah. ESPN's the biggest one. How do they break the majority of all the breaking news? I mean, I just think it's, but I'm just saying, like, for the big, like, NBA, somebody's getting traded or something like that. And it's just like, how are you guys getting that information? It's already done, and then they volunteer it to you.
Yep.
Like, you're not really breaking anything. You're just the first ones with the biggest platform to put it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stan Van.
Worldwide leader.
Stan Van was getting fired in April whenever he started bashing the NBA about their officiating. Mm-hmm. I could see the writing on the wall, and then they go to commercial, comes back and doesn't comment the rest of the series about officiating because somebody in his ear said, hey, stop talking about that. We don't like that. And then ESPN, being a broadcast partner, I think they picked out Keyshawn. I think they picked out Jalen. And I think they picked out Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. And I think the Mark Jackson thing, because he publicly said, I left Joker off the MVP ballot. I mean, and then people were campaigning for him to get another job. It's just wild.
Wow. ESPN, man, worldwide leader. They got so much of a control on things with all the betting stuff. They're so on top, bro. It's crazy. But
I don't know how that's going to work. I really don't.
They have a nice lineup coming up for sure.
I don't, because when it came to Barstool, you had a bunch, you had Portnoy. Stu Finer's a professional handicapper. Big Cat is, a normal guy that gambles a lot. Dave gambles a lot. And then they had a bunch of 2-bit hacks over there. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have people that really don't know anything about gambling because it was taboo for years. And I think some of the people that they got rid of, they wanted to get rid of certain people because they were bringing that gambling aspect in. Because the lines are close.
Facts.
And I think the betting and gambling is going on way more than they want to talk about.
Yep. shout out Iowa.
I think that some sports books we gotta find it out. Maybe my book even do a Menace to Sports promotion. Will Brian Ferentz average 25 points a game?
I can't wait. That's one of my favorite storylines of the season that no one's talking about yet. Like that, I'm so excited for that.
You gotta have a ticker on the show for that.
Yeah, I gotta get something. That's how many points they need for the year. Brother, I do have to leave here pretty soon. I'm so sorry to cut this a little bit short.
Oh, no problem, Kris. That's not a big deal. But just get Swamp King's watch so we can talk about that, and maybe try to grab you one more time before the season starts. Everybody, this is Kris Drew from Menace to Sports.
Yeah, Kris Drew.
He is the guy, and I will go ahead and end the stream, man, and let you get on with your evening.
Yep, I appreciate you, bro. I have one 7:45 I gotta be ready for, and then I'm trying to shut it down for the rest of the day.
I got you, man. Check out Menace to Sports Live. Even got the merch. Check out Menace to Sports Live at noon, Monday through Friday. Kris Drew and Zach Smith on Menace to Sports. Everybody have a good night. I'll see you later, Kris.
Appreciate you, dude.
Yep.